What does balance look like to you as you navigate your life, as you navigate your dreams, as you navigate your days, as you navigate your families? In today's live stream, we're going to be continuing our conversation around the dream chaser and walking through making work life balance work for real. So if you're ready, let's go.
The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone.
Hello, everyone. I am Sophia Melonē, the Debt Demolisher, here to bring you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you manage your financial baggage the right way. What an honor and privilege it is to be before you all for yet another live stream night as we carry on our last days as we read none other than The Dream Chaser by Mr. Tony Gaskins. We have now entered into day 30, and I want to welcome you guys inside of Trust Fund Tuesday. Today is Trust Fund Tuesday, and our topic and conversation is going to be around chapter 22 of the book. And before we get started, I want to just send a huge condolences and acknowledgement and just sending out love to anyone who has experienced a recent loss in their life, anyone who has been managing change of transitioning from one experience to another. In honor of Trust Fund Tuesday, I want to extend my deepest condolences, not only to anyone else who may be in this situation, but also to one of our very own DDTV family members, Queen Divinity, with the loss of her father. So you all, I just want to really encourage everyone to just be as present as you can in the moment. Cherish every moment that you have with those who you love. And just remember that the times that we have and the experiences that we get to have today are sacred. It's sacred. It's precious. Life is something that we only get to enjoy once, and the life of others is something that we only get to enjoy once. So I just want to remind everyone to remember to appreciate not only the life that you have today, but the life that you get to experience of others, and just walking in that love and just walking in that appreciation, because the very thing that we may have access to every day, we know that we may not always have access to. And if we continue to be in a state of appreciation and gratitude and love and happiness, you will be able to have more greater memories to live off of. So let's use not only today or our theme for the day, with it being Trust Fund Tuesday, to really think about life and the appreciation of life and those who we have in our lives and those who we take care of, those who we love on, those who we appreciate, those who are in our lives, because it's those memories, it's those experiences, it's those days that are going to live on. So Queen Divinity, you know that we've been continuing to pray for you and just sending you lots of encouragement and giving you the space that you need, but just knowing that we're here. We are here. So just wanted to share that. All right, we have Hugh Scott in the room, says, hello, everyone. One day remaining before we conclude National Black Business Month. Yes, it is National Black Business Month, and we are getting ready to conclude tomorrow. Q Scott says, we wrap up our readings of Mr. Tony Gaskin's book, The Dream Chasers. Tonight's topic is another good one. It is, because it's all about balance. It's all about balance. It's all about balance. And I was convicted in so many ways, but we're going to talk about this. But I want to be able to greet everybody that's in the room. But hey, Q Scott. Hey, Q Scott. Let's go. Hey, Q Scott. Hey, Q Scott. Let's go. I had to slow it down just a little bit because I'm a little winded, but I had to slow it down. Trying to pick up the energy. Sherry is in the room, says, hello, everyone. Hey, Sherry, so good to see you. Welcome on into this room. I'm so glad that you are here. Let's go, Sherry. 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 Instant income, Sherry. Let's go, Sherry. Hey, shout out to Sherry in the room. So glad that you're here. Welcome on into this room. Queen Lisa H is in the room. So good to see you. Greetings, Queen Lisa H. You came in the room with the takeoff stamp. You got the takeoff stamp. I said Queen Lisa H got the takeoff stamp. She ready to go. Let's go. Amen. Q Scott says divinity, and to anyone else going through anything right now, amen. We are sending you prayers and flowers and love in this moment on this day. Thank y'all so much. Please continue to lift up the prayers. Hello, Tiani. Welcome into the room. So good to see you. Welcome. Lisa Smiles is in the room. So good to see you, Lisa. Let's go, Lisa Smiles. Let's go, Lisa. Smiles. Let's go, Lisa. I said, hey, little Lisa. Do it, Lisa. Hey, little Lisa. Get it, Lisa. Come on, slide on through with the glow butters. Let's go. All right, y'all are loving on Tiani. Thank you so much for loving on her and giving her a warm welcome. Amen. All right, y'all. I normally am more high energy than this, Tiani, so bear with me. So if you see all of the jingles and stuff, I have theme songs and jingles that I sing for the fam. So whenever I do a rendition of it, they drop the jingle in. Q Scott is saying, thank you all for clicking the like button as you enter the room tonight. Thank you so much, Q Scott, for that. Thank you so much. Look, Sherry said, a remix. You already know, Sherry. Okay, everybody. So we're going to go ahead and get started with tonight's live stream discussion. Again, we are reading The Dream Chaser by Mr. Tony Gaskins. This has been the book that we have been reading for the entire month of August in honor of National Black Business Month, and also in tribute and acknowledgement to Mr. Tony Gaskins. So Mr. Tony Gaskins, being the author of this book, has really, I believe, has had a profound impact on a lot of us, not only myself, but many of us watching this live stream right now. Many of us have come from watching Tony Gaskins videos, and that's how you guys have actually found me or learned about me as a result of that. So this chapter that we're getting ready to go over and that we're getting ready to go through is something that I feel like was the perfect closing, per se, to this reading, because we can be in an instance where we're constantly focusing on the dream, we're constantly focusing on where we're trying to go, we're constantly focused on that end result that we want, that we may put the very thing like family and relationships and other things on the back burner, and we don't create that healthy life-work balance or work-life balance. And I know that I'm extremely guilty of this because I work really hard. Like, I work too much. And even as we opened up this chapter, this was one of the things that I wrote down at the top, and I had to answer that question for myself. So I'm not going to read it right now, but of course, as we go through the chapter, I'm going to bring it up, and I'm just going to share how chapter 22 really made me sit down and think and evaluate my entire life in terms of, why do I work in the capacity that I do, in that I essentially 9 times out of 10 prioritize that over everything else. which I kind of feel like I know the answer to, but I'm trying to internalize it in a different way to get to a better answer. So chapter 22, I don't have any water up here. So chapter 22, hey Tracy Ann. Tracy Ann had popped in the room, says, hey, and fam. Hey Tracy Ann, so good to see you. Welcome on into this room. I am so glad that you are here. You slid it right egg. You slid it right egg. You slid it right in the bank. Hey, let's go, Tracy Ann. So glad that you're here. All the way from the west side. Stand all the way up. Let's go. Chapter 247. The chapter starts out, Tony Gaskins writes, out of everything I've talked about in this book, work-life balance is one of the hardest things to master. Work-life balance is one of the hardest things to master. He says that he's still getting better at it daily, but it takes intention to get better at something. And this is with anything that you are practicing or trying to go through in life. Whatever it is that you want to be better at, you have to incorporate a practice of repetition. So he says that as a result of recognizing that work-life balance is very hard to balance or very hard to master, he says that he views success differently now. So when it comes to success, sometimes we equate success to an outcome and output, a dollar amount, a position, the status of a company, a credit score, or whatever. We equate success to some form of tangible thing that could 9 times out of 10 boost our own inner ego. Can we just tell the truth, or shall we not tell the truth? He says, I judge a person's success by what their spouse and their kids say about them, not their money or their fame. Not their money or their fame. He says, we have to find the balance. He says, the love of my family and my wife changed my life. When you learn how to love, you'll learn how to live. Woo, that was so good. He says, when you learn how to love, you learn how to live. Love is what brings balance and stability of its own. So the love is what will bring the balance and stability. So I had to take a pause, because even when I read the second part that I just talked about, how I circled around judging a person's success based on what their family, what their spouse, what their kids say about them, I had wrote down at the top of this chapter, you may probably can't see it because of the background, but I wrote at the top of this chapter, what do people say about you? And not just people in general, but those people that are closest to you. What do they say about you? What do they believe about you? And you guys, while I wrote this question down, and I had to literally think, and I wouldn't think of it in my own words. I would hear it in their voice. Like I would literally hear them saying it to me, because 9 times out of 10, they end up saying it to me. And one of the things that I hear a lot is, you work too hard. You work too much. Or, I know you're working. I know you're busy. I know you're this. That's what I hear all the time from people. You working. Slow down. You working hard. You this, you that, you this, you that. But not in a bad way, but just in an acknowledgement way, like, wow, like, what do you do for fun? What do you do for fun? My coach even asked me that question. I was like, I don't have no life. I be working. I said, when I'm not working, I'm doing something, dealing with my mama. I said, I don't have no life. I be working. And if I'm not working and I'm not dealing something with my mama, then I'm doing my purpose work. I'm over here creating videos. I'm over here sending out emails. I'm over here doing whatever it is, helping people with resources, giving them information. But that's not balance. So I have been extremely convicted by this chapter on so many levels. So I've heard, I work too much. All I do is work. You're always busy. It's hard to get in touch with you. Yeah, it is. And I'm not gonna lie, it is. It can be very hard to get in touch with me. I remember one time, this was probably not too long ago. I had like 30 or 40 something missed calls from my mama. I don't keep my phone with me all the time. Half the time my phone is on do not disturb. All the time my ringer is off because I don't like the chiming noises. And so I miss a lot of communications. I miss a lot of calls or whatever. I'm like, when I get to it, I get to it. When I see it, I see it. But when I see like that, when I end up checking the call log and I see that I had like 30 something missed calls, I'd be like, oh my gosh, like I know my mom is probably worried sick right now, but she knows I'm working. She knows I'm working. But I realized that that's not an excuse. That's not an excuse. So I have to learn how to create a schedule to make myself available to check in and to be checked on. And it's a work in progress. I'm not going to be able to do it overnight because I've been this way my whole entire life. I've been this way my whole entire life. So it's not like it's going to switch right away. It has to be some type of practice, small steps, like the other book that I have, the Kaizen method. One small step will change your life. So one step at a time. So as long as I'm recognizing it now and I'm taking at least one thing, one needle point move, one step to actively work towards changing it, I think that's where I need to start instead of trying to jump from one spectrum all the way to the end. Because if I do that, then it's not going to be consistent. And then it's going to be like, well, why did I even do it in the first place? Why did I even start in the first place? So I know that balance is a struggle for me because I've had to work hard for so long that I'm so accustomed to doing it that it's become my second nature. It's become my second nature, but it's not healthy because it's not allowing me to nourish and nurture my relationships as much as I should and that it could. So, and then plus, you want to make sure that you're pouring into others too. I realize that not like throwing myself into my work all of the time and making relationships or thinking about relationships at the end of me finishing whatever it is that I needed to get done. Who's to say that that person or whoever it was that you probably should have reached out to, or that you probably should have answered the phone call for, or that you probably should have been able to be available for, that it wasn't something that could have maybe turned their whole situation around in an instant if you would have saw it sooner, or if you would have been able to respond sooner, or if you would have been able to pick up the phone sooner. So, and I know I tell myself this a lot, like, I got to get this done. I got to get this finished. So I'm putting my phone in another room. Well, I'm not checking this. So I'm not doing this until I get finished what I need to do. But sometimes if you constantly do that, you can miss your window of being an assigned blessing to somebody else. So these were all of the things I learned while reading this chapter. Like, I mean, not to say that I haven't learned it before, but I just feel like it hit differently. It definitely hit differently, especially after the recent news that Divinity shared. It just, last night I was just like, wow, like it really caused me to pause. And Divinity's message was beautiful, by the way, because I happened to see her email, and I know it was extremely late because I was up to like 2-3 o'clock in the morning, but it was extremely late, and I was going through the emails and I saw it. And what inspired me and what encouraged me is what she was saying, like how much appreciation she expressed for the ability to be her father's daughter, like to literally be there, to literally be available, to literally just it was just a beautiful thing. And it really like put a lot of things into perspective around the beauty of life and how every chance that we get to breathe, to see, to use our functions, to experience our loved ones, to speak to our family, I think it hits a little bit differently. I feel like when I talked to my mom today, I was like extra chipper. I was like, "Hi, mom. Like, how are you? And I miss you. And how you doing?" And she sounded excited today, which was a good thing. But I didn't get to talk to her long. But I was just in gratitude, being reminded of, yeah, pressing things are happening at work. Yes, deadlines. You got a whole bunch of stuff that you got to do. It's a whole bunch of deliverables that you got to turn around. It's going to be an even stressfuler month next month, and it ain't even next month, and the stress already piling up. But at the end of the day, the work will get done in some way, shape, or form. But you don't know if this could be the last call from your mama. You don't know if this could be the last call from your sibling. You don't know if this could be the last call from your best friend. You don't know if this could be the last call from your dad. You don't know if this could be the last call from your niece or your nephew. You don't know if this could be the last call of your godchildren. You don't know if this could be the last call of your auntie, your uncle, your grandma, your granddaddy, whoever. So I had to recognize that if a communication is being extended, then I need to allow myself the space to respect that communication coming out. And I need to be able to stop what I'm doing and meet the need of the person that's calling on the other end, or meet the need of the person that may be texting on the other end. And I know this is going to be hard for me because I do not like being attached to my phone. I do not like being attached to my phone at all. At all. But this was a healthy reminder. And we can't make up the timing of how we're reading this chapter on today. How we get reminded that even in the midst of doing the work from all 21 pages before, you can't leave out the most important chapter, which is the end, which is creating the balance between the life that in the dream that you're chasing and the life and the family that you are getting a chance to experience. That you're getting a chance to experience. So needless to say, I felt bad because all I could think about was all I heard was everybody's different head saying, "I know you at work. I know you're going to be busy. I know you'll be busy. I know you this. Only if you got time. I just want to let you know." And I'd be like, all of that was just running through my head. I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I have not been making myself available because people already know that I'm tied up in X, Y, and 12 million thousand things. Thousand things. I don't want to be known as I work too much. I don't want to be known as all you do is work. I don't want to be known as he says love brings balance and stability of its own. Love will make you healthier and wealthier if you treat it right. And we're not just talking about love in the intimacy space or like that kind of dynamic, because I know he's talking about like his wife, and he's even talking about, the love that he has for his family, but just love in general, because some of us may not have family members that we're close to. Some of us may not have a close-knit relationship with other humans, with other people. So they may turn that connection or turn that relationship to friends or acquaintances or people who may they have met. And some people may not even have friends. And if you've noticed, a lot of times when people don't have love in their life, who don't feel love in their life, they end up being bitter. They end up feeling miserable. And more than likely, they end up in a space where their life is not in the best space it should be. And I think sometimes if you ever think about mean people and wonder like why they may be the way that they are, some people are that way because of the lack of love that they receive. Some people are that way because of the lack of love that they receive. As I was thinking today, I was just in a state of appreciation for my mom today. And I think even before today, I feel like yesterday and the day before when I talked to her, I just kept telling her thank you. And I know she's in a state of mind where she doesn't really understand all the time what I'm saying. But I was literally like reading her a letter, but I didn't write the letter. It was just like in my head. And I was telling her how much I appreciated all that she did and how much she sacrificed. I was literally just letting her know, like, Mom, you have gone through a lot and you are still fighting and you are still here. And I said, I just want to thank you for all that you have done. For all that you have done. All of the discipline that you had given me and all of the discipline that you gave to my brother, despite what's going on with him, you did your best. I said, I thank you. I thank you for all that you did. I thank you for all of the things that I was able to learn from you, whether good or bad. Whether good or bad, because to be honest and truthful with you guys, if I had not been able to learn the things that I learned from my mom, that would not have created the experiences that I had experienced throughout the duration of my life. And I would not be in a space right now where I can speak to my financial situation, where I can speak to the financial dysfunction that I was in, how I can speak to how I worked my way through it. And I'm still working my way out of it. So I had to thank my mom for the things that she did. And another thing I thought about today, I said, Mom, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't have this credit score. Come on. If it was not for my mom, I would not have the 800 and what is it now? 820. I wouldn't have the 820 credit score that I have right now. Because it was my mama that put me on a mortgage at 18. It was my mama that told me to go into the bank and take out my own credit card. It was my mama that told me, oh, I can't pay for you to go to school. So if you need to go to school, you need to take out your loans in your own name. It was my mama that said, I can't put a car in my name for you. So if you need a car, you're going to have to put the car in your name yourself. I'll pay the bill, but it's going to be on your credit profile. And then when you come home in the summertime, you're going to have to work and you're going to have to pay this car note and you're going to have to pay this insurance. I don't know how my mother did it. Now that I think about it, I don't even know how she did it. Because my mother barely made money. And I remember when I tried to be independent. Well, I tried to be independent. I was like, I'm going to get my own car. Bought this car from a friend. That thing hit a pothole. That thing shut off in the middle of the street. Hit a pothole. That whole car shut off. I called my mom. Called my grandma. I was crying. I was on my way to my little part-time job at the CVS. Never made it in because the car was stuck. Just thinking of all of these things. And that was in the summertime. I was getting ready to go back to school. And my mom said, you will not be going on the road in that car. She took me right to the dealership. Negotiated everything on my credit. Negotiated everything on my credit alone. But if it had not been for my mom, I wouldn't have had the credit in the first place. Because when the people in the car lot ran my credit report, they were like, you got a house in your name? I ain't know nothing about that back in that age. All I did was I did what my mama told me to do. She said, come to the bank, come do this, come do that. I did it. Not realizing how those actions way back then, when I didn't understand, positioned me to where I am today. And that same credit card that she made me open up is one that I still have today. And it's the one that's given me the longest length of my credit profile. So I give my mama credit. I give my mama credit. Because if it had not been for the decisions that she made, even though it caused financial burdens to me during all of those years, it served a purpose. And she was on to something. She was on to something early. Soon as I turned 18, she put me on as an authorized user on her card. Never gave me the card. She was using it. But again, my mama didn't have the best spending habits, so she was maxing out that credit card. But even still, it was showing up under my profile. And then I had the mortgage. It was showing up under my profile. And then because I had those two, I was able to open up my own credit card a year later. And then that's when she told me to, let's go open up your own credit card. So she was trying to teach me, even though she didn't understand the algorithm side of things, she understood that you needed credit in order to survive, because that's what I was taught early. That's what I was taught early, not knowing that it was going to manifest and grow into all of this when now I teach on the very thing that I was taught to do, but maybe not in the best way growing up. So I give my mom kudos. I give my mom kudos, not only because of everything that she had gone through, everything that she had experienced, but what she was trying to do and what she did do to try to help her children be better than her situation. And she did all of this while she was sick. My mother been sick since I was born, in and out. And when I say sick, I mean she has a mental impairment. So in and out, in and out. I have all kind of stories related to all of the manic episodes that happened in our house. So many stories that you probably wouldn't even believe it, but that's not the purpose of our live stream tonight. Matter of fact, let me get back on course. Shout out, I just want to, let's just take a moment to acknowledge our parents, regardless of where they are today, our parents, because they allowed us to be here. They had played a major role in giving us life, giving us the breath that we have today. Not thinking about your situation, but thinking about the fact that you had the ability to breathe, because God appointed your daddy and your mama to come together to produce you. And so because of that, the least that they deserve is that acknowledgement and that honor of thanks. Because had it not been for their vessels, your vessel would not be here. Had it not been. So regardless of what you may feel about your parents and this and that, just show love to them. Because one thing that we know for sure is that they are always not going to be here. And when they are no longer here, the only thing that you're going to have to hold on to is those beautiful memories, if you choose to make them beautiful. Hello. If you choose to make them beautiful. So let's love on our parents. Let's love on the ones who allowed us to have life. If you want to call them your biological parents, if you want to call them whatever you want to call them, they are your parents. They are your mother and your father. So let's appreciate the life that they were able to produce, which is you. Which is you. Which is you. So let's celebrate our parents and here and above in heaven. Amen. Amen. Daddy Thurman. Shout out to Daddy Thurman. Resting peacefully. Queen Divinity, we love you, Queen. He says at the bottom of page 247 that your family should be your first priority. Your family should be your first priority. He says, I do understand that in life there will be a season of work. There will be a season of work, but family should be first priority. Family should be first priority. So I know without a shadow of a doubt that I prioritize my mom. I think it just shows in my actions and all that I do. It's almost like second nature. Like if anything happens with my mom, especially if I feel it, I feel like something is going on. So I gotta get over there. I gotta see her. I gotta hear her voice. Whatever it is. I shared the story before. Well, I'm not going to share it again, but I shared the story before about how every time it was a life or death situation with my mom where the Lord led me to intervene, or the Lord led me to get there right on time. And even when I was younger, when the incident happened when I was 5, I made a decision in that moment that I would not leave my mom, even though my life was on the line, even though my life could have been on the line. We literally, that whole incident when I was 5, I don't even see how we're both still living the way that she was acting in that car, running through red lights and all of that kind of stuff. Anything could have happened. It was by the grace of the Lord that we are still here. It was by the grace of God. But that story had meaning. That very incident from 5 had meaning, which is why I still remember it like it was yesterday, vividly. So I know where my priority lies without a shadow of a doubt, but I do know in other family dynamics, my priority may not be as high as it is for my mom, because she is literally my number one priority. And one of the things my friend would tell me all the time was like, have you ever noticed, like, right when you're in your peak of doing something, or right when things are going well, or you're doing on something for your business or for your purpose work or for your job or promotion or whatever the case may be, something happened with your mom. And then you get this, you just can't even get your mind together. You can't even focus. You're like all over the place. You're sad, you're depressed, you're this, you're that, you're stressing out. And my friend had to point it out. My friend of over 20 years had to point it out to me to say that the enemy is trying to use your mom to distract you from doing your work, because everybody know that you're going to stop everything you're doing to get over there to your mama, to do whatever it is you need to do for your mama. Everybody know that. And she says the devil knows that too. And so when I think about that, I have to remember as well that even when these situations happen, because we know that life is going to happen, it's all about how you look at it, how you internalize it, how you allow it to cause you to respond or cause you to react versus respond. So even when you are going through life and there's a season of work, there's going to be a season of fighting when it comes to trying to maintain and hold on to this balance, or trying to hold on to your family relationships. Something is going to come in the midst, but we have to be willing to respond versus react. And while we're working, it's going to be a season of work. He shared this story about his process for writing the book and how he spent the time at the beach house. That's amazing. He wrote this whole book in a weekend. I said, come on, Tony. I said, you wrote all these gems in a weekend? I said, come on, Tony. But he shared the story about how the last day of the weekend, his wife and his kids had come up, and there was a graduation. His wife's cousin, Mrs. Cherie Gaskins. Where's the Women's Influence? I know it's still on my desk. Women's Influence. Get this copy too if you guys haven't got it yet. There we go. Cherie and Tony Gaskins. He was talking about how the cousin, her cousin was graduating, and they were going to the graduation and to celebrate and all of that, and they came up to the beach house, and he talked about how Cherie wanted to take the kids so that way he could be able to finish, and he was like, no, you go ahead to the graduation, let the kids stay here with me, and let me spend time with the kids. So instead of writing, he put the book writing to the side for the moment. He put the book writing to the side and spent the time that he needed with his children, putting one of them to nap, putting the other one just talking to the other one, and having the other one play games. And then when the other one started to play the games, he was getting ready to write the book. And then the youngest one woke up. And then so it was just like all of this, all of the time of the things, but he spent time with the family. He did not stress over what he wanted to get done because he set a deadline. Ouch, that just hurt me. That just hurt me so bad because I know I'm so guilty of that. I am so guilty of that. I will shut everything down. I will shut everything down to get a deadline, to reach a deadline. So not an example that Tony's giving, but the opposite. Because if it were me and I needed to get something done, I would probably leave the kids. I would probably leave the kids and say, I got to finish. I got to be able to focus. I can't be running around doing all of this. Oh my goodness. That just convicted me. That just really convicted me right now. And it takes me back to the very thing that everybody says, you work too hard. All you do is work. Man, I don't know what to say about this chapter now. I'm starting to see it completely different. I feel like the Lord is coming for me on these last couple of pages right now. Whew. Well, look, on page 249, I wrote in the margins, convicted. So this whole thing, let me just read this whole part that I circled and I wrote on the margins, convicted. I said, Tony Gaston says on page 249, I told you that long story just to paint the picture of work-life balance. He said, had I been a workaholic, that scenario would have played out totally different. He said, instead, I decided to give my sons and my wife some of my time. After all, I've been gone all week long. He said, I put my book down and I know my 9-year-old paid close attention to that. He said, I didn't mention it. I showed him that the book doesn't matter more than he does. Whew. He says, I've been working on that because my job is so fun and so consuming that it's easy to want to work around the clock. He says, you have to find balance. If you can't find the time, you have to make the time. Put work on the back burner to love. I circled that entire paragraph. I started on both ends and I wrote convicted in the margins. Because he says it can be so easy to want to work around the clock. It can be so easy to want to work around the clock and be consumed. And I would say for me, it's not necessarily easy for me. I wouldn't say, because he says, because his work is so fun and so consuming, it can be easy for him to work around the clock. When it comes to my full-time employment, I wouldn't say that that's fun work. I would say that it is intriguing work because I love figuring things out. So, and that to me is actually what consumes me, because I'm a digger. like I'm a digger. Remember when I was telling you guys about how being kept being called stupid and you don't have no sense and all of that when you're younger, that stuff plays in your mind. Well, it played in my mind, and I had to prove that I wasn't stupid. I had to prove that I did have some sense. So when I was in school, I had to study. I kept quiet. I didn't want to speak up because I didn't want to be loud and wrong. And I had to make sure that before I opened my mouth, I knew what I was talking about. Before I opened my mouth, I had to answer. Well, matter of fact, I didn't even open my mouth. I just submitted the test. And then when I got the A, I was like, all right. I was like, all right, then, when I got the A. So when we look at what's consuming us today, what intrigues us, what causes us to be a workaholic, more than likely it stemmed back to something. It stemmed back to something that we have not necessarily made the connection. So it's not necessarily about it being fun and consuming for me. It may more so be around me just, I guess, needing to get it done, like out of survival or out of, what's another word that I could use? Out of responsibility or out of obligation, really, as opposed to it being fun. As opposed to it being fun. It's more so, okay, I got to uphold this responsibility, or I got to deliver, or I got to do this, or I got to make sure that I'm owning my part and that I'm doing my part. And I'm not going to finish until I get it done, especially when it's due to somebody else or if it's involving somebody else. But he said, put work on the back burner to love. So I had to ask myself, am I loving my family the way that I should? Other than my mom, because I already know my mom gets top priority from me. That's just what it is. And I think everybody knows it. That's just what it is. And I don't think that's ever going to change. Like, even if she's done things to hurt me or try to hurt me, even if she was unconscious of that, I'm still not going to stop doing for my mom. I'm still not going to stop loving on my mom. I'm still not going to stop acting like a baby to my mom. Even when I talked to her today, I said something to her that she used to say to me when I was a kid, and she just laughed. She laughed so hard. I was like, oh, I just love to hear her giggles. I was like, oh, mommy, I just love to hear her giggles. But that got me excited because it just tickled her, because I know she's probably like, oh, because she used to say that to me, and then now I'm saying it to her. Like the roles done reverse. The roles done reverse. But am I loving other people in my family, my friends, am I valuing my relationships as much as I should? Am I showing them that? Because it's one thing to say it, and it's one thing to, really believe it. But I do believe that we have to show it. And I know without a shadow of a doubt that I don't always show it. I know, I'm not calling people 50 million times a week. I'm just not. But I understand that some people need that type of exchange to feel the love from you. So maybe this is an exercise that we can do, because did I write down something for an exercise? I think I did. I know I did. Yeah, the last page. I know I wrote down something for exercise. But maybe this is something that we can do. Think about making a list of your loved ones. Thinking about making a list of those who you actually care about. And think about the ways in which they receive love. Because one thing that I've learned, not only through observation, not only by reading books, y'all know the book, The 5 Love Languages, and Dr. Gary, whatever his name is. I can't even remember the book that is downstairs in my bookshelf. I haven't read it in a long time, but it's down there. He talks about oftentimes people will give love in the way they would like to receive it. So if you can make a list of those who you care about, who you love, who you want to show appreciation to, who you want to be able to acknowledge, write their names down and think of how they show up. Like, think about what matters to them. Think about how they would show love to you. One way could be they have to hear your voice. One way could be they always want to be able to talk to you. They always want to be able to check in with you. They always want to be able to know how you're doing. They always want to. Some people need that conversation piece, even if it's just 5 minutes. It don't even have to be a whole hour and 20 minutes and 45 minutes. It can be just something as simple as a quick hi, a quick video call, even if you running somewhere up, gotta go. All right, talk to you later. I'll see you later. I just want to let you know I'm thinking about you or whatever. And some people do need that extended conversation. Like, hey, this is what I'm going through, or this, that, or how's this, and just want to catch up. But just think about what they need. Some people may need your physical presence. They may need you to be there. They may need you to be physically there for them, whether it be sitting at their bedside, whether it be taking them to the grocery store, whether it be cleaning up their house for them, whether it be running errands for them, bringing them groceries, doing whatever it is. Some people may need that acts of service. And if you see that that's what they're doing for you, then more than likely that is the way that they would like to see and receive love as well. Because people show you how they want to be loved. But what Gary covers inside of the love language is learning to love people in the way that they want to be loved, not in the way that you would want to be loved. And I think that's where we go wrong, because you may want to be loved through receiving a phone call. They may want to be loved by seeing you in person. So if your phone call once a week is satisfying to you, it may not be satisfying to them if they haven't seen you in 3 months. So let's look at how we want to evaluate showing love to those whom we love in the way that they want to be loved or they expect to be loved, because that's where it's going to be received better. So that what Tony Gaskin says on page 247, that love will bring the balance and the stability, and it will make you healthier and wealthier by treating it right. By treating it right. It's going to turn into a whole lesson. He says, there are times when my wife has to remind me to put my phone down. He says, I have to constantly check myself. Finding a healthy balance is constant work. So what Tony wants us to remember is that finding a healthy balance is constant work. We have to work in that. We have to work through that. We have to work with that. One of the things that I think this is it. Is this it? Yeah, okay. One of the things that I noticed or that I realized is that we may start stuff, but we may not want to finish it. We may start stuff and we may say, oh, okay, I've tried this for a couple of days, and then drop and then no longer do it. Or it could just be that it's just so much that it gets convoluted. And I think that's my thing. My thing is I put too much stuff on my plate. So even when I try to take something off, something else done came on and added on 2 more levels of stuff. So I'm like, oh my goodness. So you try to release one thing, but I'm adding on more. So that's where I need to work on, because if I'm trying to get better at this balance thing and I'm releasing something, but then I'm doubling it up or tripling on the thing that I just laid down, then you ain't gonna get nowhere. You're gonna keep tipping like this or like this. You're gonna keep tipping down. You're going to keep tipping down, and your balance and your scale is not going to be leveled in any way. In any way. I need some prayer on that in my life. He talks about social media being a gift and a curse. Oh, I want to read this piece because this took me back to the scripture. What does it profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? So on the bottom of page 249, he says, I told my son that it's not always a good thing to talk so much. We had a little debate, and then he said, well, I'm quiet sometimes, Dad, but you wouldn't know because you're never home to see it. And he talked about that too in a lot of his videos. He always shared how that conversation and that statement from his son cut him and made him cry. And that's when he told the league, he said, I can't do this no more. I got to be home with my kids. He said, it hurt so bad. He said, I cried in the car on my way back home. And he said, what did it profit me to gain fame and notoriety and lose time with my family? He said, that's when I started searching for ways to have an impact and create more time. So I wrote in the margins on this next piece about asking yourself the question of what takes up your time. Like, really, what truly takes up your time? What takes up your time? I remember there was an exercise that a time management coach had shared, Ayana O. She had delivered a webinar. When did I go to the webinar? I think she does the webinar recurrently, but I think I probably went to the webinar like maybe 2 years ago. And she had delivered this webinar. She was talking about time management tips and strategies and things of that nature. And she mentioned this very thing about recognizing where your time currently is going. And I don't think we really track what we do with every moment of our time, like seriously, because there's 24 hours in a day. And if we take out the 8 hours that we have to sleep, if we're sleeping 8 hours a day, then that gives us 16 hours a day. So from the time we wake up, we have to get ready. If you go to work, however long it takes you to get ready and go to work, that's maybe an hour, 2 hours, depending on how long your commute is. That takes you down to 14 hours. Then you have to work however many hours. I know some people work 10-hour days. So like for me, I work 10 to 11-hour days. Next month, I'm probably going to be working 16-hour days. I ain't even going to lie to y'all. That's how it's going to be. It's going to be crazy, September and October. But I'm gearing up for it because that's what we do. It's our season. It's our busy season where we are. So sometimes it's going to be 14, 15, 16-hour days back to back. That's expected. But let's just say some people may work 10 hours a day on average. So 10 hours a day. So that gives you, what did we just do? We did 16. That took us to 14, 10 hours a day. That leaves us with 4 hours left. So 4 hours after you've worked the whole day. And then if you have to commute, you got to cook dinner. You got to do this. You got to do that. So by the time you get back to your bed or you get back to sleep or you do whatever, that whole 4 hours is going to be gone. So she challenged us to literally begin to create a log, like a time log. Like, what are you doing every hour? Like, write down what you're doing every hour. Every hour. So every hour, jot down what you're doing. Every hour. What you working on? What you doing? What did you get done? Like, what is this hour? What did you do in that last hour? To really help us begin to pay attention to what we're doing in the 24 hours or the 16 hours that we have while we are awake, if we do 8 hours of sleep every night. So I did this exercise and I journaled it for a while. And that's what made me realize that sometimes I take way more time to do something than that's necessary. And that's because I'm a researcher, and that's because I'm a thinker, and that's because I be drilling down. And so when I'm looking at one thing, I start thinking of another thing, and I go down this rabbit hole, and I go down this. I'm like, oh, what about this? What about this? I'm trying to get all the way down to the root. And if I would have just kept it simple, like Tony Gaskin says all the time, keep it simple. If I would have just kept it simple, I could have saved 45 minutes to 90 minutes by not going down that drilling hole. So my observation as a result of doing this log was that I spend too much time on one thing than necessary. So let me preface it with that. Than necessary. So what takes up your time every day? What takes up your time? He says, although he doesn't have a team, that's not his problem, because he was talking about like delegation. He said he doesn't need to delegate because he says emails and social media posts don't take up his time. He says my TV appearances and the speaking engagements, that is what was taking up his time. And he said those things I can't delegate. You can't delegate where you need to be in person. So the things that take up my time is my employment. And that I can't delegate because I got to show up and I got to do my work. So I can't delegate in this season. I can't delegate that responsibility in this season. So, but we can focus on what other tasks, and then even seeing, well, even if there's something that you can't delegate that you have to do, but you want to be able to create more time, then how are you going to change it around so that you can create more time? And that's where Tony Gaskin said he had figured out a way. He had figured out a way to no longer be on the road, having to travel, having to be with the NBA team, having to go from A to Z. He figured out another way, a remote way, teaching, educating, coaching, still serving the same purpose by delivering impact, but doing it in a way where he can still be at home and still be with his family and not ever have to hear his son say those words to him again about he doesn't talk sometimes, but you wouldn't know that because you're never here. In little words or no words. He says, I want to impact the world, but I would much rather be an impact to my own home than anyone else's. Come on, you better say it. This takes me down to the quote of the day, and then we're going to close out. Quote of the day is, oh, I can't see this. Okay. Quote of the day says, we have to appreciate the season we are in and make the most of it. That's why balance is so important. Balance doesn't mean that you have to choose one or the other in its entirety. It just means that you have to find a way to have the best of both worlds. So let's first identify what your worlds are. What are the two worlds that are on the scale that you're trying to balance in the first place? Is it family? Is it your dream? Is it your job? Is it your dream? Is it your job? Is it your family on one end? Is it your job? Is it your children? Is it your children versus your husband? Is it your husband versus your family? Like, what is it that you're trying to juggle and muggle and balance so that you can have the best of both worlds in those experiences, in those experience areas, rather, in those experience areas. And while we were in Tony Gaskin's personal branding live Zoom call, Saturday school, that's what it was, Saturday school, he was talking about establishing boundaries and things of that nature. And then I think I had asked a question around what are like the best kinds of questions that you could ask yourself to be able to create those boundaries in every aspect, every area of your life. I think the reason why that came up for me was because we have so many different things that we're juggling. We have so many different things that we're trying to handle. And in some cases, some areas are more sensitive than others. And because some things are more sensitive than others, and that means that it has maybe a more higher priority, or it has a more easier barrier or boundary to break through. because of the sensitivity that's attached to it. So one of the things that I know always helps me develop a thorough and robust strategy is asking questions. So questions for me are like profound. It gives me a whole unlocking. Like if I can drill and ask myself questions, I'm able to discover all kinds of things. I'm able to unlock all kinds of things. And the same thing, if other people ask me questions, it's causing me to drill down and think deeper. So I always like to keep questions in my question bank. And even in that, I can't always go off of my own questions. So I want to be able to see, okay, well, what will somebody else ask? What will somebody else ask themselves to get clear in this particular area? So sometimes you may have to do that if you can't figure out what your balance is or what you want to put on the scale right now to try to figure out the balance. You may want to use a series of questions, a question pool, a question bank to help you decide which and what to prioritize. And if you can't think of any on your own, then that's when you can reach out and then see if you could extract some ideas from others. So on page 251, Tony says, while balancing the seasons, it's also very important that you communicate effectively. This is another one that convicted me. Oh my goodness. He says, you just can't do what you have to do and expect everyone around you to understand what's going on. This is one of my failures. This is one of my failures that I admit. This is one of my failures that I admit, because I've shared several times about how I'm not really attached to my phone. I could literally go without my phone and it would not bother me in the least bit, unless I needed directions to go somewhere, or unless I was trying to find something, or unless that would be the only thing. But there's been times where I left my phone at home. I didn't turn around to get it. I didn't turn around to get it. There's times where I just leave the phone in the other room, and it's off half the time. So I don't even know. I don't even like checking. I don't even have a lot of stuff like visible on my phone. So when I was thinking about this piece, it reminded me of the lack of communication that I have with those who I love when it comes to what I may be working on or what I may be doing. Like now, everybody know, like, okay, she's in her busy season, but no, this is kind of early, to be honest, because this week has already been crazy and we're not even out of August yet. But everybody knows September, October, you ain't gonna hear from So-So. Like, you ain't gonna hear from her because she's gonna be under the water somewhere. She's gonna be stressed out. She's gonna be working till 3 o'clock in the morning, getting back up at 7 o'clock in the morning. That's how it's gonna be for So-So. So don't even bother her. Like, she all right. She all right. So they know in that season, but there could be other moments where it's not as busy, but I may be focused on something. So like even with the projects around the book, or the studying of the exam, or studying for this, or maybe even this whole scope around creating this YouTube channel and being consistent with content every day. It takes time, y'all. It takes time to make these videos. It takes time to edit these videos. It takes time to come up with these quote cards. It takes time to come up with these morning inspiration quotes. It takes time to come up with these shorts. It takes time. It takes time to prepare for these live streams, because I got to read too. I have to read too. It takes time, but it's worth it. It's worth it. So if I have to be up until 3 o'clock in the morning to do it, then I'm going to do it. If I have to be up until 1 o'clock in the morning to do it, then I'm going to do it. Because it's about the commitment. It's about the commitment. And this even takes me back to when we did for what we did for the month of May, where we went over ET's videos. It was ET video every day that we dissected, and we came in live stream and we talked about it. And he talked about the commitment piece. And it was one of the videos that I remember that he talked about around the discipline aspect of things. And he talked about getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning every day, every day, every day, every day. Whatever day of the week, Mondays, when he dropped his videos, 3 o'clock in the morning. He says, do you think Do you think that I always want to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning? No. No. But he says, I made a commitment. It's the discipline. It's the discipline. And then plus, somebody on the other side of the world is waiting for that video to drop at the time that you said it was going to drop. And the person who was waiting on that video, when you don't post it, they don't know that you still sleep. They don't know that you on vacation. They don't know that you, whatever else he said in the video. I can't remember everything, but I know he said something about vacation. And he might have said something about oversleeping. But even in that, he had to get into the practice of the discipline and taking himself out of it, getting out of his own feelings and focusing on who it was serving, who it was reaching, who it was for. Who it was for. So balance is important if we want to keep our sanity. And I also think that even though sometimes, because even in some of our family dynamics, that can create extra stress, to be honest with you. But it's all in how you look at things. And I have to learn that I have to be better at my communication. I have to learn that I have to try to let people know in advance, like, hey, you are not going to be able to hear from me. You are not going to be able to see me. You are not going to be able to do whatever it is over this next period, because from here to here, I am focused on this. And this is the only window I have. I love you. I'm okay. No love lost, but I'm on a mission in this season. Because what did he say? There is a season of work. So if you feel like in this season, you're not finding a way to balance too much, then you're going to have to communicate so that the expectations can be known on the other side. So that the expectations can be known on the other side. Because everybody's not going to understand unless you say it. Because if you don't say it, they're just going to assume. If you don't say it, they're just going to assume. He says he starts to learn. He's talking about his son, his eldest son. He starts to learn about hard work and that life doesn't always work exactly how we want it. And there are sacrifices that we have to make. Tony Gaskin says, I never wanted him, talking about his oldest son, to think that it's about material things, but quality of life does matter to us all. He says, I don't want him to settle and not use his gifts because they may take him around the world. So he continues on by saying how the NBA players, people in the league, because he says his eldest son wanted to be soccer and basketball. He wanted to be a pro athlete. So he was explaining to him like what that lifestyle is like. So sometimes the gift that you may be in that takes you to the career path or the thing that you do to deliver your gift, that thing could change your entire lifestyle. That thing could take you to a whole different level of living in terms of taking you away from the home that you grew up in. So he says that he explained to his son about how the NBA team, how they travel. He says, if you want to be in the NBA, you realize that during the seasons, because you got to think about the NBA seasons and when they play and what is it, NBA finals and all of that, when they play, that time, those seasons aren't going to change. The season has been the same since the inception of the league, I'm assuming. So just because you come in, that doesn't mean that just because you come in and that time of the game falls in on your birthday, or may fall in on your dad's birthday, or may fall in on your mom's birthday, or may fall in on your sister's or your brother's birthday, that does not mean that you can call out because of a family's birthday. So if you're saying yes to this, you have to realize that you're going to be missing the day of not only your father's birthday, your brother's birthday, because of the timing. Can you live with that? Can you live with that? So he's allowing him to see, allowing him to weigh all of the pros and cons before he makes a decision. He says, but those guys have to play because that's their job, that's their gift, and that's how they feed their families. He continues to say that work-life balance is constant. There's a piece that I messaged that I circled down and I wrote message because he talked about how what his son said to him, TG the third, said to him when Tony Gaskins said that he apologized to his son for not being home and not being there because he was traveling. He was on the road. He was going from point A to point B. He said that his son said to me, "Dad, it's okay. You're helping people around the world to be good and change their life. A lot of people need you. I don't know what they would do without you. I get to see you all the time, so it's okay if you're gone some days to help. I don't ever want you to stop helping people." His son said that to him. His son, I think he was 9 at the time, said this to him. He said it brought him to tears as he was writing that out and recalling the very thing that his son said. He said, "I was so blown away that he said that to me, that it comforted my spirit." And that even reminds me too of that one night. This was when my mom was here. Not recently. This is like years ago because I was just starting this journey, and I think I had got my first invitation to be on a summit, and I was up late. I was up late because I was doing work for the program, and then I got invited for the summit. I had to get this whole slide done, all this deck done. I had to do all of this. And again, I'm still working full time and my mama's here. So it was like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning, maybe 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And I guess my mom came out of the room to use the restroom, and she saw that the light in this room was still on, and she peeked the door open. And I guess she thought I was asleep. And she peeped the door open and she peeped and she said, "Oh, you're still up?" I said, "Yes, Mom, I'm still up. Trying to finish up this presentation. I got to get the slide over, whatever. And she said, "Wow." And she stood there, she looked for a minute. She said, "I really hope that you become successful in this because you work really hard." And I looked at my mom. I was like, oh, first I was like, "Thank you," because that was like a sign of her believing in me, but also a sign of her like, wow, she's putting in all of this effort. I'm praying, I'm hoping that something will come out of this. So sometimes when you may be on your journey to something or in your pursuit of something, and you may be in the middle of working hard, you may get a reminder like Tony Gaskins did, where you would get that encouragement to say like, "It's okay, keep going." And sometimes you may get a message similar to like what my mom said that gives that inspiration or that message of hope, like that message of inspiration, like, "Wow, I see you. And I hope that you're able to reach whatever it is that you want to reach as a result of you doing this, because you're putting in the work, you're putting in the late hours, you're up at 3 o'clock in the morning and you got to go to work in like 3 hours." Like, "Why are you still up?" is basically what she was saying, but she didn't say that. She just said what she said, and then she looked, and then she shut the door and she went back and let me finish. So this next paragraph I circled and said message. Tony Gaskins says, "The hardest part that you'll find about balance is that even when you adjust, things will continue to shift in a way that demands your time." This is a prime example because I'm going to be completely honest and transparent with you guys. We were going live every single day in 2022 from January 1 all the way up until May 31st. And I wanted to create some leg room so that I could study for this exam and so that I can finish the books that I was working on. So I said, okay, no live stream in June, no live stream in July. And I think we changed it. It was 2 days a week was what it was. We changed it to 2 days a week instead of every day, or 3 days a week because we still had the Saturday live streams. So it was 3 days a week going live instead of going live every day. And even when I did that to create some more window, to create some more time, more stuff came up. More stuff came up to demand the time. Literally in the same month. In the same month. In the same month that I had taken something off of my plate, stuff got added back on. And that stuff that added back on bared some fruit, thankfully. But there is still stuff that's on that plate that's still being worked through, that based on what was added. So he's saying that even when you adjust things, because you're going to have to pivot in whatever you do to help create that balance for whatever you need. But when you create that pivot, when you shift things around, you better believe something else is going to come. So the challenge is handling the something else that comes. The challenge becomes handling the things that will now be added on. Are you going to reject it? Are you going to say yes to it? Or are you going to say no to it? So he says, you may find a way to create more time, but the little work you do will explode and get so big that it still requires more of your time. And that's exactly what I was just saying. As you take a load off, as you take something off, something else fitting to come back on. Something else is going to come back on. So it's a cycle thing. It's a cycle thing. So how are we going to handle it? So I wrote message down in the margins of that because that was a message for me. That was a message for me. He says, you're doing what you love so you can do it for 24 hours straight. You could do it for 24 hours straight. You have to discipline yourself and force yourself to stop working and spend time with your family. I said, ouch. Because all I do is work, y'all. All I do is work. So to hear this message of stop working and spend time with your family, sometimes I be like, Lord, I could be doing this. Lord, I could have got that done by now. Lord, I could. But I got to remember that quality time matters because tomorrow ain't promised to nobody. Quality time matters because tomorrow is not promised to you, and tomorrow is not promised to the ones that you love. And what we know for sure is that whatever work you're doing is finna get passed on to somebody else. So while you over here fretting, while you over here spending all of this time in your work, while you over here spending all of this time not building and cultivating and nurturing your relationships because of the work, when you fizzle and fade out, they finna pass that work on to somebody else because somebody gonna get it done. Somebody else's vessel is going to get it done. And even if it comes to the work inside of your gift, because I can overwork in this part of the life too. I know I can. Chef Joe just got on me the other day, like, why are you still up? I'm like, I'm editing videos. He like, so, I'm going to need you to be in bed talking about some editing videos. Y'all, my software was acting crazy. It took me forever to get this video edited. Stressing me out over here. Stressing me out over here. But we can get so ingrained and so engrossed in our work. But even in that, the work is going to continue. Even the gift, the work is going to continue. Even the fruit that you bear is going to continue to bear fruit after you transition, if you planted it right. Relationships matter the most, is what I'm learning. And I'm not perfect in it. I'm not, because I know I'm a workaholic. I know I am. I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to deny it in the least bit. It's all in my character. It's all in my being. That's all I've been doing since I was 14. Really, before then. Because to be honest with you, my mama had me working and choring and cleaning up the house since I was like 7 and 8. Since I was like 7 and 8, I'm cleaning bathrooms, I'm cleaning floors, I'm washing dishes, doing all kinds of stuff. She trained me how to clean early. And didn't even really teach me. She was just like, clean the floors, do this or do that. And then sometimes What really taught me too was my grandma, because when I used to stay with my grandma, I was back and forth between my mom and my grandma, because y'all know a lot of stuff happened in my life. So in and out, just all over the place, from home to home. And I remember my grandma, she didn't play. Like, we all had chores. We all had our assigned areas. Somebody had the dining room, somebody had the living room, somebody had the kitchen. All the grandkids was in there cleaning, all the granddaughters, because the boys ain't did nothing. I think the most they did was take out the trash. And half the time, the boys weren't even there because they had their own issues that they were going on. So it was mainly the women. I tell you, the women were strong in my family. Like, the women were very strong in my family. They was it. They made the money. They took care of the kids. Shoot, my uncles was living with my grandmothers. They were all living with my grandmothers at one point, each and every one of them, all the men. But the women worked. Some of them stayed with my grandmother every now and then, but it was a strategic move, because they were staying there to save, all of that. And then y'all know my mom's situation. We was over there whenever we got taken away from my mom, and we would have our chores. All my cousins, we would have our chores. We would have our areas. And I remember, if you did not clean something right, you was getting a whipping in the middle of the night. When we knew something was up, when that door came swinging open at 2:00 in the morning, somebody was getting a whipping because they did not clean what they were supposed to clean correctly, or they did not clean at all. And my grandmother would whip you and make you get up and go clean. I got a Jamaican family, okay? I got a Jamaican family. So they would get whippings. And I learned from watching them get whippings. I said, absolutely not. Let me get every crevice. Let me get everything. Let me move all the chairs from underneath the dining room. Let me get all up under there. Let me wipe all of this down. Because my grandma ain't coming up on me when I'm sleeping, whipping me with a belt and a switch at 2:00 in the morning. Absolutely not. My cousins used to be pissed. They used to be crying and everything, because that's the worst time to catch you off guard, when you sleep. You ever got a whipping out your sleep? You ever got whipped out your sleep? Have you? Try my grandmother. She ain't play. Taught me early how to clean. So we have to work on building our disciplines with nurturing our relationships. And I'm going to design an affirmation for myself to help me with that, because it's so hard. Like, I have tried, and I've said things. I've said, okay, I'm going to do this, but I can get so engrossed in my work. I can get lost in my work, like lost in it. Seriously. So this is going to be a challenge, but I'm up for the challenge. He says, as you're building your dream, be prepared to fight through a nightmare or two. If you can't step away from your work, then it is not freedom. If you cannot step away from your work, it is not freedom. It is not freedom. And if we chasing the dream is supposed to represent what? Freedom. But if we are enslaving ourselves to the work of our dream, if we are enslaving ourselves to the work of our 9 to 5, if we are enslaving ourselves, where is the freedom? Where is your freedom going to live? Where? I wrote this as an important exercise, and I want to challenge everybody to do this. On page 253, he says, I'd advise you to start working on your schedule tonight. Y'all know I went straight into creating my schedule as soon as I finished this chapter, because I can't even say the words. I was just so like, okay, let me start on this today, right now. He says, whether you work for yourself or for someone else, you have to literally create a schedule that will remind you of the importance of creating balance. And when I did my outline, I started with my responsibilities. What do I have to do? What do I have to do? And after I wrote everything out, I tried to go back and identify what looks like work-life balance, because honestly and truthfully, none of it was there. Everything that I wrote out was all work. YouTube work, Patreon work, what else kind of work? 9 to 5 work, caregiving work, meetings and treatment meetings and emails and all of this kind of stuff. What else? Studying, certificates that I'm studying for. There was, I was like, where am I going to squeeze it in? Where am I going to squeeze it in? Where is the balance or the piece that would create the balance fit in? Because if I look at this, my whole schedule is full. But I got to find it. So now that I've done the first part, I got to do the second part, and I got to find it. So I have to find it. So he says, make your schedule, honor your schedule, and tweak it and adjust it as you see fit. As you see fit. Come on, Lisa Smile said, lift up your hands and get delivered tonight. You better lift up your hands. Get the sock. Get the sheet. Come on, y'all. Get the sock and the sheet. Get the sock and the sheet. Shout out to Lisa Smiles and Acacia's in the room. Hey, Acacia, so good to see you. Welcome on into this room. I am so glad that you are here. Hey, Acacia, let's go. Come on, Acacia. Hey, Acacia, what's up? Let's go, Acacia. Let's go. 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 Hey, Acacia. Go, Acacia. Remix. All right, y'all. I am sweating. My poor little silk press probably finna be a poof under this hat tonight, because I'm sweating right now. This light is bright. Yeah. She calling it out. It's Coach Sheena here today. I was listening to Coach Sheena. Coach Sheena did an amazing visualization video. That thing was good. I don't know if y'all caught it, but it was good. Yes, shout out to the DDTV Planning Committee. Shout out to the DDTV Retreat Planning Committee. So it's Lisa Smiles, it's Acacia, and Q Scott, and myself. But I feel like I'm like this person, and they up here. I'm like this from like halfway, but they up there. But shout out to the DDTV Retreat Planning Committee. Y'all are like getting it together. They are like whipping everything in shape, getting us together for our retreat that's going to be in June. So I'm looking forward to that. I am sweating so bad, y'all. You can come on to my room to pick up at 6 a.m. No. I'm going to be collecting all workaholic devices at 11 p.m. You have been warned. Amen. Uh-oh. And you know what? Now that you say that, when I go to like retreats and stuff, like the retreats with Lisa Nichols, the retreats that we did was at like health resorts. And the health resorts were like technology kind of less space. So they really didn't want you to be on your phones or anything. So I remember when we checked into the rooms, literally on the bed, they had like a pouch for your phone. And it was like sleep here or something like that. And it was like a little pouch that you would put your phone in, because literally they wanted you to put your electronic devices away and just be present in nature. Like that spot at that health resort in Mexico, phenomenal. Like, I still get the things that come in the mail asking me, do I want to come back? But I don't want to go there by myself, because Lisa Nichols is in the Bahamas. So I don't think she's going to be doing any retreats at that same location anymore. But that location was phenomenal. All clean eating, everything, like all healthy foods. It was so refreshing. Hiking, getting up early in the morning. They had meditation hikes. It was just beautiful. It was just beautiful. I said, I never thought that trees and nature would be so beautiful. It was phenomenal. Food was dynamic, all healthy foods. Them chefs in there Amazing. Amazing. It was nice. Just beautiful. Okay, she says, you know, some of the trip is business, but the majority will be nothing but fun. Come on, y'all. Come on now. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, everybody. Let's see. Did I miss anybody? Trying to scroll before I close. Oh, we are well over. Oh, my goodness. We are well over. We are well over. All right, everybody. We are going to close out. So your reading assignment for tomorrow, so just remember. So we finished up chapter 22, but that still doesn't mean we have no more to read. So you got your exercise. So for reading for tomorrow, it's going to be pages 255 all the way to the last page. Connect with Tony, 259. 259. So still read all the way through. All the way through. So we're going to read 255 all the way to Connect with Tony. So that's the acknowledgement that is about the author, and then Connect with Tony. So we're going to have a short read for tomorrow. So it shouldn't be a lot, but that still doesn't mean that you're not going to come to this live stream tomorrow. I mean, if you don't want to, it's fine. But I do want to remind you that our next book is going to be Dr. Cindy Trim's Hello Tomorrow. So the first video premiere for that is going to be released on, of course, the starting of the month, September the 1st. And then every day, same time for the whole month. Hello Tomorrow. Because I really think that this is going to be perfect to support what we've been able to learn and what we're creating from here, because we're going to need the vision to back it up. We're going to have the method to allow us to build the discipline and the vision that's necessary for what we're building and what we're chasing in terms of the dream here. Does that make sense? So if you're just tuning in, we have been coming here every day for the month of August in honor of National Black Business Month. As you can see at the bottom of the screen, there is a playlist that's scrolling. The playlist where all of these live streams are housed, as well as all of the pages and sections of the book that we've been reading for the entire month, is saved under Build Up, Getting to Your Core Purpose and Dream with Tony Gaskins for Black Business Month. So my recommendation would be to get your copy of the book if you have not done so. Read it 8 to 9 pages at a time if you want to be able to get through it in 30 days. 7 to 8 pages at a time if you want to get through it in 30 days. And then follow along by watching the live stream replays that are saved each day. I think it'll really bless you, especially if you do the work inside of it. Or you can choose, any other month that you want to be able to do it in. But thank you, Q Scott, for putting up your reading assignment, 255 to 259. 255 to 259. And Q Scott also says that we have a live stream alert. Yes, there is no live streams for the month of September. The only live streams that we'll be having in September are our recurring working sessions on Saturdays. So those will be the only live streams for the month, because that's probably the only thing I'm going to be able to manage the way my schedule is going to be. So, and to be quite honest, no, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to make it work. I'm going to have to block off the 2 hours or block off the hour for the live stream and then go back to work. But so I'm only going to have space and capacity for one live stream a week, and that's going to be on a Saturday morning. But thank you so much. Thank you so much for that reminder. You guys see that? Make sure that you pick up Dr. Cindy Trim's book. Meet us in the premiere rooms. We're still going to be chatting and dialoguing about our takeaways from the sections of the assigned readings. Quote cards for Dr. Cindy Trim's card is also going to be quotes of the day for the month of September. So you'll be able to get your reading assignment there in the morning. Q Scott says, that's going to be a challenge for me. Work sale can go in a pouch, but not personal. I feel naked not being connected to my daughter or family for emergency purposes. Yes, I'm going to make sure I'm present. Amen. 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 I know what you mean. Okie dokie, everybody. Oh, thank you so much. Saturday, So dropped some complimentary gems from her credit improvement strategies workshop. Yeah. That Saturday, the Saturday live stream that we did, it was good. It just turned into a whole conversation when y'all coming in and ask questions. So it ended up turning out being really good. I'm also going to be dropping more videos this coming week around credit and impacts because of the student loan forgiveness or the student debt cancellation. Everybody has been going crazy over the student debt cancellation stuff. So, of course, I'm educating and I'm teaching on it, and I'm trying to keep people informed on what they need to do because I was already teaching on the public service loan forgiveness stuff. And then this debt cancellation got released, announced, and everybody was just like, well, I just consolidated and da da da. Was it gonna work for this? Is this gonna work for that? Da, 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 da. People are stressing out, and some people are happy about it, but some people are asking very great questions, not only about tax implications, but also around credit implications. People aren't really thinking about what's going to happen with their credit reports, with their credit scores, if that debt relief that they're getting is going to wipe out their student loan balance altogether. We all know some people have a lot of balances. Some people have a lot of student loan because, you know, there's multiple disbursements, there's multiple loans within a loan. So I'm going to be dropping videos to let people know what to pay attention to and how to start analyzing your credit report like now for real before stuff starts getting paid off and your accounts start being dropped off because they've been paid off and now they're closed. So look out for those. But this week we're talking about investing, and then we have our Invest With Me live stream that Saturday, this coming Saturday, that's only for DDTV channel members that'll be able to chat. So you'll probably be able to hear it, but you won't be able to engage unless you're a DDTV fan member. And then that's it. And then we're going to be going hard on this student loan stuff. So there we have it. My work is cut out for me. My work is cut out for me. It's cut out for me. So you guys, I want to give a huge thank you to our moderators, Acacia and Q Scott, for being here tonight. Thank you so much for navigating our rooms, keeping everybody informed, keeping us up to date. We got one more day. We got one more day of our Dream Chaser conversation. Let's close this out strong. Come back tomorrow night, finish up your assigned readings. And we're going to also just do a mini recap celebration because August, a lot happened this month. Some high, some low, a lot happened. And I think it's good that we'll take this moment to just kind of refresh and reset and then use the last month of the quarter, which is September, to really get us in a healthy headspace to be strong for the last quarter of the year and over into 2023. Okay. So thank y'all so much. All of the DDTV fam, Acacia, Q Scott, for moderating tonight's live stream. All the DDTV fam, all the Patreon pledgee family. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your encouragement. Thank y'all for loving upon each other. Let's please continue to keep Queen Divinity uplifted in prayer, as well as her family. Send her as much as encouragement as you can, if possible. Just keep her uplifted in prayer and keep all of her family uplifted in prayer during this time, because we know that grieving is not an easy thing. And we know Peaceful Love, she's a grieving, she specializes in grief, in helping people overcome grief. So we know that it's a challenging thing, and sometimes we may not understand why things happen, but sometimes we understand that it's God's will. Amen. And we understand that it's a part of the life cycle that we have. But I think it's so important that we just appreciate the moments that we have, appreciate the family, or appreciate the people who we have in our lives, and just appreciate every moment that we get to experience, because we don't know when it's going to be our time. But nonetheless, I want to remind you that your financial prosperity awaits you, and so does your financial sanity. You already know what I'm going to tell you to do, and that's what? Get to work. All right. Bye.
The Debt Demolisher TV with with Sophia Melone, the Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia